They wanted the offensive foul. Not going to get it. Caitlin Clark with her third from beyond the arc.
They call her the unstoppable rookie, Caitlin Clark. In 2024, she didn't just enter the WNBA. She shattered records, sold out arenas, and turned an entire league upside down. But every superstar casts a shadow, and Clark's came with a target on her back. Opponents hit, shoved, and provoked her. The message was clear: challenge the best and face the consequences. Enter Sophie Cunningham, veteran, enforcer, protector. Together, they changed the game, and the Indiana Fever became a team no one wants to face. What happens when raw talent meets uncompromising loyalty? This is the story of power, protection, and the making of a dynasty. Quiz: who was brought in to protect Caitlin Clark and become the Indiana Fever's enforcer in 2024? Options: A. Diana Taurasi, B. Brianna Stewart, C. Sophie Cunningham, D. Sue Bird. Got a guess? Hey, comment below. The real answer will be revealed later. The spotlight effect. Caitlin Clark's arrival. When Caitlin Clark was drafted first overall by the Indiana Fever in April 2024.
In the 2024 WNBA draft, the Indiana Fever select Caitlin Clark.
The league she entered was struggling for attention. The Fever had just finished their 7th consecutive season without a playoff berth. They averaged 4,067 fans per home game, second worst in the league. The WNBA was a league where talented women played extraordinary basketball in front of half-empty buildings. While networks buried their games on cable channels, nobody was watching. Clark changed that in a matter of weeks. The 2024 WNBA draft drew 2.45 million viewers, quadrupling the previous record. Clark's regular season debut against the Connecticut Sun was the most-watched WNBA game on any cable network in history. Within her first 5 home games, the Fever surpassed their entire 2023 season home attendance. By year's end, they averaged over 17,000 fans per game, becoming the first team in WNBA history to draw more than 340,000 fans in a single season. After all the guesses, all the suspense, now the correct answer is revealed, and the correct answer is C. Did you get it? Tell me in the comments. 4 opposing teams, Washington, Atlanta, Las Vegas, and Los Angeles, moved their home games against the Fever to larger NBA arenas just to handle the ticket demand. The Mystics moved a game to Capital One Arena, and 20,333 fans showed up for a matchup between 2 of the league's worst teams.
And Caitlin Clark, and we moved the game from ESA to Capital One Arena.
Right.
That was not a playoff game. That was a Tuesday. Television numbers were equally staggering. The WNBA attracted over 54 million unique viewers across all networks, an all-time record. Our 22 regular season games topped 1 million viewers. Clark was involved in all but 3. The All-Star Game featuring Clark drew 3.44 million viewers, more than doubling the previous record set in 2003. Google searches for the WNBA spiked over 300% from the previous year and nearly 1,400% from a decade earlier. Forbes valued the Fever at $370 million, second in the league, and credited Clark's presence as the driving force. The team led the WNBA in revenue with an estimated $32 million. According to Q Scores, 44% of Americans recognize Clark's name, more than Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, or Shohei Ohtani. But here is the thing about a spotlight this bright. It does not just illuminate the star, it exposes everything around her. The inadequate travel arrangements, the salary disparities, and on the uneven officiating, and perhaps most dangerously, the gap between what the league wanted Clark to endure quietly and what the public was willing to accept. The spotlight did not just make Caitlin Clark famous, it made the problems visible, and some of those problems were opposing jerseys, fans, media, and cultural momentum. There is a moment in every cultural shift when you can feel the ground moving. For the WNBA, that moment came in the summer of 2024 and never stopped. Caitlin Clark did not just become a sports story, she became the sports story.
Clark, another long 3.
She's back!
Her name trended on social media after virtually every game she played. Barbershops that had never discussed women's basketball were debating her assist numbers. A father named Jason Smith, who had never watched a single WNBA game, had brought his 9-year-old daughter Autumn to a Fever Road game in Washington because she was obsessed with Clark's three-pointers. Within weeks, they were following 4 teams. That is not marketing. That is cultural penetration. Olympic gold medalist Simone Biles attended a Fever game in August 2024, her first WNBA game ever, and posted publicly, "Everyone watches women's sports." The subtext was clear. If the most decorated gymnast in history is showing up courtside, the excuses for ignoring women's basketball are officially gone. The media frenzy was unlike anything the WNBA had experienced. Clark was covered by ESPN, CNN, Fox, CBS, NBC, and every digital outlet with a sports vertical. She appeared on magazine covers. Her rookie card sold for $660,000 at auction, nearly doubling the previous record for any women's sports collectible. Charles Barkley, the NBA Hall of Famer, went on the Bill Simmons podcast and delivered a verdict that resonated across the sports world. He called Clark incredible and said the attention, the eyeballs, the money she had brought to the league was transformative. He praised her for never saying a word in response to the negativity, for just letting her game talk. But Barkley also said something else. He said that certain people in and around the WNBA could not have handled the Clark situation worse if they had tried.
Oh, petty, man. Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark.
That the negativity, the pettiness, and the jealousy were overshadowing what should have been the greatest story in the league's history. He was not wrong. But here is the irony. Every controversial moment, every flagrant foul, every snub, cheater, every hot take only drove more attention to Clark and the WNBA. The controversy was fuel. The Clark-Angel Reese rivalry drew numbers that matched or exceeded average regular season MLB viewership. A Fever Sky game on CBS drew 2.25 million viewers.
Of WNBA games for the first time this season, the Sky announcing their matchups, hosting the Indiana Fever will be moved from Wintrust to the UC.
Another one on ESPN drew 2.35 million. These were not playoff games. These were regular season matchups powered entirely by narrative, rivalry, and the gravitational pull of one player. The cultural momentum was undeniable, and it set the stage for what came next. Challenges and controversies on the court. From her very first game, Caitlin Clark was treated differently, and not in the way that superstars are typically elevated. She was targeted. The physical play started early and escalated quickly. In June 2024, to Chicago Sky guard Chennedy Carter delivered a hip check that sent Clark sprawling to the floor during a dead ball. The play went viral. Carter refused to answer questions about it at the post-game press conference, then took to social media to criticize Clark. Diamond DeShields, also of the Sky, sent Clark flying with a foul later upgraded to flagrant one. Angel Reese caught Clark with a hit to the head. A flagrant foul from another opponent ruptured Clark's eardrum. The pattern was unmistakable, and it was not just random physicality. Sophie Cunningham, who was still on the Phoenix Mercury at the time,
Sophie Cunningham and now Parker Tyus is in difficulty.
Later revealed what was happening behind closed doors. On her podcast, she admitted that her former team had specific conversations about how to play Clark. She said the locker room talk was explicit. "We are going to show her what the W really is." Cunningham understood why rookies get tested. That is the reality of professional sports. But she also acknowledged that Clark was getting more than the standard welcome. The targeting went beyond competitive basketball. It felt personal. Off the court, the friction continued. Clark was controversially left off the USA Basketball Olympic roster for the 2024 Paris Games.
She has been left off of the Olympic team. 12 players have made it, and she did not. She said there was no disappointment, adding, quote, "I think it's just a little more motivation."
WNBA legend Cheryl Swoops made factually incorrect claims about Clark's college career on a podcast, saying she had played 5 seasons and took over 40 shots per game. Diana Taurasi warned that reality was coming for the incoming rookies, a comment widely interpreted as aimed at Clark. And through all of it, Clark did something remarkable. She said nothing. She did not respond to the cheap shots. She did not call out the veterans. She did not play the victim. She got knocked down, walked to the free throw line, and hit her shots. She started the season 1-8 with the Fever and finished 2020, clinching a playoff berth. She set the WNBA single-season assist record with 337. She set the single-game assist record with 19. She recorded 2 triple-doubles in her rookie year. She won Rookie of the Year unanimously, but the question hanging over everything was simple and persistent. Who was going to have her back? The Fever's front office heard the question, and they answered it. Sophie Cunningham, the enforcer and teammate. On January 31st, 2025, the Indiana Fever acquired Sophie Cunningham from the Phoenix Mercury in a 4-team trade. On paper, the move was about 3-point shooting and defensive versatility. Cunningham had averaged 7.7 points per game the previous season and shot 36% from deep. She was a solid veteran addition for a team trying to take the next step, but everyone knew the real reason she was there. At her introductory press conference in March, Cunningham left no ambiguity. She looked directly at the cameras and said, "I am fierce. I am sassy. I stick up for my teammates. I stick up for myself. Sometimes I think that is okay, to be feisty and be yourself." She then spoke about Clark specifically, and the words landed like a statement of intent. "She has changed our game in the best possible way, in every way. Just to be alongside her and maybe relieve the pressure, being able to shoot and spread the court for her to go do her thing. I want her to go do her thing, and anything she needs from me, I am going to be here." That was not coach speak. That was a promise. And on June 17th, 2025, Sophie Cunningham delivered on it in front of a national audience. The Fever were hosting the Connecticut Sun. Tension had been building throughout the game, fueled by trash talk and physical play.
Short. Cunningham, 3 on the way, and we're tied again.
Between Sun guard Jacy Sheldon and Clark. It boiled over when Sheldon poked Clark directly in the eye. Clark grabbed her face, the two exchanged shoves. Then Connecticut's Marina Mabrey rushed in from the weak side and knocked Clark to the ground while her back was turned. The arena was in an uproar. Fans were screaming. Social media was already on fire. But the officials handed out only a technical foul to Mabrey and a flagrant one to Sheldon. No ejections. Sheldon stayed in the game. With under a minute left and the Fever up 17, Sheldon made a steal and took off for a fast break layup. Sophie Cunningham was waiting. She grabbed Sheldon and pulled her to the ground with a hard foul that sent an unmistakable message to every player in the building and every person watching at home. If you come for Caitlin Clark, you come for all of us. Cunningham was ejected. She did not care. The fans in Gainbridge Fieldhouse gave her a standing ovation as she walked off the court. Social media exploded. Within days, Cunningham gained nearly 1 million new followers across Instagram and TikTok. One fan's tweet captured the moment perfectly. Finally, a teammate got Caitlin Clark's back. "Sophie Cunningham, you are a G." The aftermath was pure theater. Cunningham revealed on her podcast that the altercation had chipped her tooth.
I was just saying that, like, everyone else didn't even want to touch the ball, and you're out there diving. Yeah.
She also said the previous game against Connecticut, Sheldon's physical play had injured teammate Sydney Colson and cracked Cunningham's tooth during a face-to-face confrontation. She was not acting on impulse. She was settling a debt. The WNBA fined her approximately $900. Cunningham called the ejection her moment, and the fans agreed. But the best moment came weeks later, at a fan signing event in Indianapolis. A 39-year-old fan named Pettigrew waited in line, and when his turn came, he placed a card in front of Cunningham for her to sign. It was not a Cunningham card, it was a Jacy Sheldon rookie card, and his sister had already inscribed 2 words across the front, "Property of." Cunningham looked at the card, burst out laughing, and without hesitation signed it. "Property of Sophie Cunningham." The video went viral. However, fans offered up to $2,000 for the card. Pettigrew said it was not for sale. He had not wanted a standard autograph. He wanted to make her laugh, and she had obliged. That is the Sophie Cunningham effect. She is not just an enforcer. She is a personality, a folk hero, a teammate who elevated the concept of loyalty from an abstract virtue into a tangible, visible act that the entire league watched unfold in real time. She brought something to the Fever that no stat line can measure. She brought certainty, the certainty that if you cross the line with Caitlin Clark, there will be an answer. Not from the referees, not from a press release, from the woman standing next to her who earned a black belt in Taekwondo at the age of 6, kicked extra points on her high school football team, and has never once in her career been accused of backing down from anything. Impact on the league and legacy. The partnership between Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham did not just change the Indiana Fever. It changed the conversation around the entire WNBA. For years, the league had struggled with a perception problem. Women's basketball was respected by those who followed it, but it was rarely discussed in the same breath as the NBA, the NFL, or even Major League Baseball. Clark's arrival shattered that ceiling, but it was the Clark-Cunningham dynamic that gave the league something it had always lacked, a narrative with emotional depth. Think about the great sports partnerships: Jordan and Pippen, Brady and Gronkowski, Shaq and Kobe. What made those duos compelling was not just the combined talent, it was the contrast. The transcendent star and the player who complemented them in ways that made both better. Cunningham is not Clark's Pippen. She is Clark's Rodman.
Caitlin Clark to fire away from 3. Cunningham just now getting up.
The player whose willingness to do the unglamorous work, set hard screens, take charges, deliver the message foul, creates the space for the star to operate freely. The ripple effect has been measurable. Teams around the league took notice. The physical play against Clark, which had been escalating for an entire season without sufficient response, began to moderate after the Cunningham incident. Not because the league issued new directives, but because the Fever had established a boundary and demonstrated their willingness to enforce it themselves. Fan engagement deepened. The Fever were no longer just Caitlin Clark's team. They were a team with characters, storylines, and a collective identity that fans could invest in. Cunningham's podcast blew up. Her social media presence soared past 1 million followers. She became a marketable personality in her own right, a veteran whose career had been solid but unremarkable for 5 years in Phoenix, and who was now, at 29, becoming one of the most talked about players in women's basketball. Because she stood up for her teammate, because she was willing to get ejected, because she signed a rival's card with a grin and zero regrets. The impact extends beyond the current season. Young players watching the WNBA now see a model for team culture that goes beyond offensive efficiency and defensive schemes. They see a team where loyalty is not just encouraged but demonstrated publicly, where the response to targeting is not a post-game complaint, but an on-court correction delivered in real time. That matters. It changes how young athletes think about what it means to be a teammate. And for the league itself, the Clark-Cunningham story represents something invaluable. Proof that women's basketball can produce the kind of narratives that drive mainstream sports entertainment.
Women's basketball goes, it's hard to say it wasn't a holiday here because the lower bowl.
The rivalries, the enforcement, the personalities, the moments that live on social media for weeks and generate conversations that spill out of sports into culture at large. The WNBA has always had talent. What it lacked was the audience to appreciate it. Clark brought the audience. Cunningham gave them a reason to stay. Caitlin Clark changed everything in the WNBA. But greatness alone does not survive the pressures of professional sports. It needs protection, loyalty, someone willing to stand in the fire when the world tests you. Sophie Cunningham became that person. Together, they forged more than a team. They built an identity, one where brilliance and toughness coexist, where beauty on the court is matched by the unflinching willingness to defend it. Their 2025 seasons were cut short, interrupted before their story could fully unfold. Injuries sidelined both, yet the culture they created endured. Fans still showed up. The Fever still made the playoffs. The message was clear. When talent is paired with loyalty, something extraordinary happens. It reshapes expectations, it shifts a league, it commands attention. As they return for 2026, the question is no longer whether Caitlin Clark will continue to be the defining force in women's basketball. She will, And the real question is, who will rise to stand beside her next? Who will embrace the responsibility, the risk, the sacrifices to protect the brilliance that changes everything? Every team, every league, every era has needed that person. The WNBA just learned how powerful it is when they have one. This is more than a comeback. It is a proving ground. Every pass, every three-pointer, every defensive stand will carry the weight of expectation and history. The world is watching, and as the Fever step onto the court, one thing is certain: the story is far from over. The next chapter is about loyalty, resilience, and the making of a dynasty. The question is, who will answer the call when the spotlight hits? And how will the game and the league be transformed forever?